We actually had some people on payroll a whole year before we opened. The chef, for example. So we, Eric would come to the house. We would cook. It was every few weeks. We ate like kings for a better part of a year.
That's a good
we
idea.
had,
My wife would
we
love
had
that.
drinks being prepared and sampling wines. We were fortunate in that we could afford to do that and really take our time. And even when we opened in February, we didn't advertise.
What's up, Sarasota? Welcome to another great episode of Sarasota Speaks. Brad is away today, so I'm Felipe Colon.
What episode is it, Felipe?
I don't like to...
75. I'm Trey Martell.
And our guest host today is...
I'm Dr. Rob, Sarasota Spine and Sports Performance, filling in for Brad. Huge shoes to fill, but I'm going to do my best.
Appreciate it, Rob. And our guest today, which we're so thankful to have, is Dan Henson, Sr., the owner of Art and Central Restaurant here in the Rosemary District in Sarasota. Dan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be here.
Why don't you start by telling about your restaurant, the concept of it, and what separates you from other restaurants downtown?
Well, that's a lot because there's a lot downtown. We're upscale casual, so the inspiration was from Northern California. In 2020, when we were in the depths of COVID, we went stir crazy. So like a lot of people, we bought an RV, did a cross-country trip, ended up in Northern California, and my wife and I have always loved the restaurants there, the casual, upscale, wood, creative menus. And our bucket list thing for 30 years, don't ask me why, but we always wanted to have a restaurant. So we had a lot of time on our hands with COVID, and we started thinking about it, and we said, hey, we can do this. Let's try and bring a concept like that back here to Sarasota. That led to a multi-year development project, fleshing out the concept, finding the building, fitting it out. We opened up in February, so it's at the corner of Boulevard of the Arts and Central Ave, called Arts and Central.
Very cool. My wife and I actually love it. We've been there multiple times.
Good.
And I think Felipe's been there as well.
Definitely. I live in the neighborhood. I've been there probably 3 or 4 times. Plus, I also was lucky enough to be at the Men Wear Pink kickoff, where
that was a great event.
You and your son, who are also Men Who Wear Pink, were gracious enough to host us. So we appreciate that and had a great time.
Yeah, good cause. We're trying to raise some money for it.
Definitely.
Dr. Rob, what'd you have for lunch?
I had what was the name of it again?
I think it was a bistro steak salad. That's my guess.
It was an entrees.
Or a backyard steak salad?
No, it was. Is this a lunch menu?
That is the lunch menu.
It was the Harvest Bowl is what I had.
Okay.
So because for people who didn't know this, I had never been before and didn't even know about the restaurant until our friend Eric here told me that I'm sitting in for Brad, and we filmed our podcast here this morning. My wife and I said, well, we got to go ahead and do some research, right? So we went and had a great experience. I had the Harvest Bowl with the brisket. It was unbelievable. I usually eat light at lunch because I don't want to crash. The thing that my wife and I always look for is because she's legit celiac. It's not one of those, I have to be gluten-free because I'm trying to trim my waist.
It's not a luxury. It's a necessity.
Not a luxury. She'll get sick and feel really fluish for like 3 or 4 days. And she has a dairy allergy. She's blessed. But anyways, we loved seeing, the gluten-free options. The wait staff was super accommodating. She had like a shrimp salad. We had a great experience. It actually... kind of what you were saying about, the California concept. We sat outside. It was a beautiful Sarasota day. Wind was coming down the street. I'm anxious to see it with the garage doors open. That looks like a really cool, fun idea. But it looks like a great place to bring a bunch of people and hang out.
You like the outdoor seating. Felipe and I, we went for a birthday party. We got the VIP treatment in one of your back rooms.
Oh, did you have the private room?
We did have the private room.
Yeah.
Now, what qualifies one to have that private room?
Well, typically people are going to book it for parties or wine tastings. We can seat up to 12 in there, and it's just free to book. But most people do it for special occasions.
Yeah, we went for a birthday party.
It was our friend Weston's birthday, who's actually in your industry as well.
I think he sells you refrigerators.
Oh, does he?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Good guy.
I'll have to make sure they're all working.
Fun night.
Can I tell you about one of the cool experiences I had?
Do tell.
I went and washed my hands, and to my surprise, when I went to pull the towel out of the dispenser, I got a little hand blow as well. That was pretty neat. I was very surprised with that.
Yeah, it's
that
funny.
You guys are like innovators.
We
there.
wanted both. This is one of the things my son and I and my wife and daughter-in-law argued about is, do you want towels or do you want an air dryer?
You
so
clearly
we got
want both. It was a nice surprise.
Yeah, I'm glad you were surprised.
So that's some attention to detail.
Yeah.
You're everything in the restaurant was built out right down to the hand drying apparatus.
That was an abandoned storage facility. So it was taken down to the cinder block. And we were fortunate to have a great architect, Baron Schimberg, here in Sarasota, and he guided us every step of the way. But we're really pleased on how it turned out.
It turned out amazing. I mean, honestly, I didn't really have any expectations other than reading an article. But when we walked in right away, my wife just loves experiences like that. Nothing super uptight. We don't want to have to dress up. We want to be able to, wear them on a roof shirt and go in and have a nice meal.
One of the best shirts in Sarasota.
The seats were super comfortable. Everywhere you look, there's something really cool, very neatly well appointed. Like even looking up at the wood beams over the overhang, it was homey. It almost looked like it could be in Boulder, Colorado somewhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of thought that went into it, a lot of wood and natural materials and fabrics, and also a lot of technology. The, sound dampening is a big deal. I mean, think about it, it's an old, storage facility. So if you wanted to turn it into one of those places that would echo and no one could hear themselves think, it would be easy to do. But instead, a lot of the materials were chosen so that we can have live music, we can have, streaming music. It sounds lively, but at the same time, you can have a conversation without having to raise your voice.
So curious, what dampens the sound? Because I didn't notice anything.
Wood
and fabric.
Interesting.
So the wood floor, those black ceiling tiles are special sound-absorbing ceiling tiles. And then we've got these, you have to come in to see it, but we've got these decorative partitions that have wood and fabric in them, and that captures the sound even in the bathroom hallway, we've got wallpaper from Italy with literary quotes on it, playing off the Arts and Central theme, but it's sound-dampening wallpaper. Just to keep it down.
One of the coolest things that stuck out to me was the menu and how you guys integrated the artist and the artwork on the menu, and you allowed the customer to take it home. How did you guys come up with that idea, and how do you go about sourcing the artists?
Well, that's been organic. So my brother is big into the poetry community here in Sarasota. So we said, hey, why don't we invite the poets to have we'll put their original poetry on the back of the lunch menus, and then we'll find local artists and put their artwork on the back of the dinner menus. We had a couple of introductions, the way things work in Sarasota. And as soon as we launched the first one, we had artists contact us to carry their stuff. And it's mainly people who are established, but we've also had a Ringling College student. And so every month we rotate them. We'll rotate the poets. We'll rotate the dinner menu artists. We ask people to take them home. We actually bought all the printing equipment and sourced the paper because if you want to do this through a commercial printer, you can't afford to do it. But we wanted to pump up the art scene, so we ended up going into the printing business so we can do this at a cost where we can go through thousands of them in a month, but ask people to take them home, and a lot of people save them and frame them.
I wish I had known. I left mine on the table.
Well, there you go. Huh?
Well, yeah. So I'm going to sneak out with both of them. You're so sweet, Trey.
Trey coming in with the good questions today. I like it. Keep them coming.
Ask me how much research I did.
Apparently a lot.
4 dinners.
4 dinners for the research. I remember I had the Scottish salmon at the recommendation of one of your servers, and that's another thing. What often gets lost in a beautiful space like that is you also have top-notch service and top-notch servers that make the experience what it is. I mean, that was such a great recommendation for that lunch. Yeah. And I still think about it. So.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'll pass the compliment along. A lot of them have been with us since we opened.
And when exactly did you open?
February 19th.
Okay, February 19th.
And our chef is a cool guy, Eric Walker, former aerospace engineer who went into the defense industry, moved out to California, and decided this isn't for me. I like cooking. Went to the Culinary Institute of America. He's apprenticed in 2 Michelin star restaurants in Europe. We were lucky enough to get him, and he does a great job designing the menu.
Well, you know what they say. If you find something you love, you don't work a day in your life.
Right.
Or you could be a roofer.
I heard that.
You heard that, right?
I think I saw it on a billboard.
I will say, though, any engineer I've met who isn't currently working as an engineer is always doing something great in another industry because they're amazing problem solvers. They are total square pegs in a round hole kind of people. My brother-in-law's in we were talking about Toronto earlier. He's a big business guy up in Toronto, and he prefers to hire engineers over MBAs at his company simply because of the problem solving. He said, I can teach them the numbers.
They cross the T's and dot the I's.
Is he a finance guy?
My brother-in-law, yeah.
Okay. That's been happening in the finance industry for like the last 20 years.
Well, he's been
engineers are very much preferred in some cases.
Yeah, he's been running his own.
You know what
deal for like
engineers are
30.
as well? They're prompt and on time.
Is that how Zach is? You can tell I'm not an engineer. Are you an engineer?
I'm not an engineer.
Okay.
But I work with my hands.
He's a roofer.
So do I.
So now let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. So
Yep.
you came from a different industry. You want to give us some background where you came from before the restaurant industry, and then I want you to get into once you just had the idea. I'm assuming you had some money backing you. What are the steps?
Yeah, well, that's first 30 years in General Electric,
Yep.
mainly in financial services, but I was also the head of marketing of GE. Lived around the U.S., in Mexico, in England. One of the businesses I had responsibility for was our franchise finance business, and we had a lot of restaurants that we had financed.
Okay.
So I knew I knew the financial side of the equation. But as I was saying, it was my wife and I's bucket list to have a restaurant, not just because we thought it would be fun.
Well,
to
you're
do.
a finance guy. You must read that, the restaurants is the easiest way to lose your money, right?
Yes, it
So
is.
that
Yeah.
is, you're whatever side of the brain saying that,
Yeah.
but you're saying let's go for it. So what are the steps?
Well, retirement is step one.
All
so
right.
you got to do something, right? So I retired from full-time work. I still do some board work, so I'm active outside of the restaurant scene. But we had the wherewithal to do this. My son, it was during COVID. We had done this RV trip out to California where we fell in love with the Northern California restaurants again. My son was living outside of Houston in doing commercial real estate documentation and hated it. And so like a lot of people, you just kind of change it up during COVID. And we said, all right, let's do this. Hey, let's put on a show. Let's build a restaurant. They relocated from Texas to Sarasota. Moved in with us while their house was being built.
Your son and his wife?
Yeah, my son
Okay.
and his wife. They've since had a daughter who's going to be 2 next week. And we started working with designers and architects and fleshing out the concept. We, honestly, we found out it's not that. Even if you've got the money and you want to open a restaurant, it's hard. People don't want to give you their buildings.
Really?
Oh yeah. If you've never had a restaurant before, a developer doesn't want to lease to you. They have a high failure rate. Right?
Yeah, I was going to say it must be the failure.
turn
You don't want
Turnover,
somebody
yeah.
to come in and take your marquee spot and fail 3
Plus,
months
they're
into
going
it.
to shoot all kinds
Yeah.
of vents through your roof. And who pays for that?
Yeah.
Who pays for the lease?
So you don't own the real estate.
No, we lease the
you
building.
lease the building
for 20
okay.
years.
Now I understand
Yeah.
because essentially the way it works around here with the restaurants, I'm told, is that when you're leasing, you're almost like their partner, in a way.
A 20-year lease.
Not, it's. I mean,
That's new to me.
they've all got a different cut on it.
Well, some of them, they take points. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, some of them can take
Gotcha.
points. Most of them just want dollars per square foot.
Yeah.
But they're very selective because if you're going to anchor a property for them, they want to know it's going to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we had to, we walked around with our shoe, trying to find Cinderella for a little while.
Well, you don't have a great pitch, right? I'm retired.
I'm
I
retired.
figure I
I've
want
got
a
some money and I want to
restaurant.
start a
They're like,
restaurant.
yeah.
No, we did. We had the whole concept book. We had the visuals. We had the mocked-up menu. We had everything. I mean, we had a sound business plan. I've been in business, for General Electric for a long time, and I do some corporate board stuff. So this wasn't by the seat of the pants. We had crunched the numbers. But we finally found the right location, and we started the build, which was, a year and a half. It always takes a little longer and costs more.
How is the city of Sarasota to work with as far as permitting?
Oh,
and-
beautiful. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
such a
super
fucking
easy.
breeze. Wow, it's so nice.
I still need their help on some things.
Yeah, so be judicious how
I
you
would say
answer that, right?
some departments are off the charts helpful. Others, it is pulling teeth.
Really?
Yeah.
We won't
And-
name names.
And you guys are building that thing out during the COVID years, too, so all the supplies and
It was
everything.
post-COVID. It was post-vaccine. But it was supply chain constrained.
Yeah.
So, can we find an electrical meter? Everything was in rare supply
Oh, I
when we
remember.
started. And now it's normalized.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, what about finding the right staff? Because you can't just hire somebody out of the chute who hasn't had some sort of culinary experience, some sort of serving experience, especially with an advanced menu, technical items, that sort of thing.
We actually had some people on payroll a whole year before we opened. The chef, for example. So we, Eric would come to the house. We would cook. It was every few weeks. We ate like kings for a better part of a year.
That's a good
we
idea.
had,
My wife would
we
love
had
that.
drinks being prepared and sampling wines. We were fortunate in that we could afford to do that and really take our time. And even when we opened in February, we didn't advertise. You know, we wanted to ease into it.
That's actually probably smart. I can't tell you how many restaurants I've been to that aren't ready to open, and the word around town spreads like wildfire. Oh, don't go to Trey's place.
Oh, whoa.
Horrible experience. The hostess didn't even know where to seat us. And
I was there for one of the, I don't know if it was like the opening, grand opening, soft opening, whatever. It was one of the openings, and we had a wonderful time. And we've been back.
smart.
Yeah, it's you know, but it was tough because we opened in the middle of the season, so we went from 0 to 550 people a day.
Wow.
And yeah, those first 30 days, you're just, you know, you're holding on to your seat, trying to, you know, to not fly out of the car. But it, you know, you learn a lot of lessons fast. You learn where you staffed well and where you didn't. Unfortunately, we staffed well in most places. We had to make a couple of adjustments, and we haven't had trouble finding people.
That's great. So where's the marketing? Where are you seeing the feet come in from? Word of mouth mostly?
A lot of social media. Marketing in Sarasota is tough. You know, you're not gonna draw a lot of people to a restaurant by advertising in the local newspaper.
Okay.
You know, you can, but it's hard.
Yeah, how many people read print anymore?
Yeah, I mean, if they're doing it, they're doing it.
6 to 8
Most of them
maybe?
are doing it online.
I'm more of a video guy.
Yeah.
And you know, frankly, it's expensive, but people do read print. They read the article about Sarasota Speax when we first started.
Yeah.
I know that was a popular one. So
Sarasota's media.
Gotta be nice to the Herald Tribune. Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I like the Herald Tribune.
And the
They did an
Observer.
article on us. But, you know, Sarasota's a very media-friendly place for restaurants. They all want to interview you. They all want to do articles on you. So
great.
we were the recipient of maybe 6 or 7 different publications all wanting to write us up and do articles. And we had help from our friends at Grapevine Communications getting launched. And
We just started working with them ourselves.
Yeah, Allison's great.
Yeah, fantastic. And we just found out she's a rock chalk Jayhawker like we are too. So that was a good instant connection. I'm digressing.
We've been having a blast getting to know Dan Henson Sr. from Arts and Central Restaurant here in Rosemary District, downtown Sarasota. If you'd like to get to know him a little bit better, stay tuned for Rapid Fire, fueled by food and beer.
Hi, I'm Dan Henson. I'm the owner of Arts and Central Restaurant, and this is Rapid Fire.
10 random questions, 10 specific answers, nothing off limits. This is Rapid Fire, fueled by food and beer. Do you prefer sweet or savory?
Sweets.
Have you got a sweet tooth? I do.
Coffee, hot or iced?
Hot coffee.
What do you like more, comedies or action?
Action.
If the machine existed, would you time travel or teleport to anywhere in the world?
Time travel.
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88. Roads? Well, we're going, we don't need roads.
Whether it's Creed or Debbie Gibson, what's your favorite karaoke song?
Billy, don't be a hero.
And through her tears I heard her say, Billy, don't be a hero.
What food did you hate as a kid, but you love now?
Truffle.
Besides base jumping without a parachute, what's on your bucket list?
Go to Buenos Aires and tango dance.
Did you ever name your car? And calling it a POS doesn't count.
I did, and it was POS.
He said it! He said it! Who's the better Joker, Jack Nicholson or Heath Ledger? Why so serious?
Heath.
Because it's all part of the plan.
After, of course, eating food and beer, where's the first place you would take visitors in Sarasota besides the beach?
Drum circle.
Now, with the weather finally cooling off a little bit, you want to tell us what's special about your outdoor options and the garage in particular?
Yeah, I mean, if you've been to the restaurant, you know we have a bunch of garage doors there. Not, you know, it's a well-appointed restaurant, but when the evenings cool off now, we open the garage doors. We've got the lanterns that are lit up with flame. We've got a fire pit outside, and the flow of the bar, the lounge, just spills out onto the patio. So it's a great place to come and have dinner, and then people tend to hang out after dinner and kind of just have a drink in the courtyard or take their martini and go out to the patio or have a seat. We have live entertainment Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so it's just a cool place to kick back after dinner.
Yeah, that was one of the first things that my wife noticed, because she's been bugging me for years to do that same thing in our house. Just, get a garage door open there so we can just kind of get in and out, kitchen area, pool, whatever. But as soon as we sat down, she was like, oh, I got to come back when these garage doors are open. Something about the indoor-outdoor thing, even if there's not much airflow, something about being outside.
Yeah,
it
just feels
up.
relaxing.
Yeah.
I mean, it just feels relaxing. Where we're located, we're fortunate that we're surrounded by over 3,000 apartments and condos, and so it's a place in the neighborhood. A lot of people think life ends at Fruitville in Sarasota, but the Rosemary is up and coming, and it's a place now where folks can go and grab a drink, or in our little plaza there, we've got a great little ice cream vendor, great ice cream, and Origin Pizza is opening in about 3 weeks.
Oh, that's great.
So there's more and more coming to the area and attracting more foot traffic, and we'd like to be the place where people kick back and relax.
So restaurants is one of those weird industries, right? Where more restaurants pop up in your neighborhood, it's actually better for you rather
It
than
is
a competition
if they're
thing?
not a cannibalistic concept.
Give me what a cannibalistic
Well,
concept.
if we had another upscale, casual, wood-themed restaurant
You
open
know,
across
that-
the street, I'm not sure I'd be very excited about it, but I love the idea of a taco place going in next door, a pizza place going in next door, Toasted Mango's going to come.
Variety is the spice of life.
Just drawing people to the area. Rosemary has so much to offer, and people are beginning to discover that beyond the folks who live in the Rosemary area. So the more traffic we can draw, the better off it is for everybody.
Yeah, honestly, a real life conversation my wife and I had, because we've only lived here 2.5 years. We live out in Palmer Ranch in South Sarasota, so we basically go downtown or go to UTC, mostly downtown though, and we had never been there until we did our research this afternoon. And as we were leaving, we started walking around and going, oh, that place would be great for this. That would be so exactly what you're saying. We'll start coming down there more, and we will be back to your place, but we'll sample other places. And again, it just makes it more of a destination. Again, being a new Sarasotan, I had no idea that was even there.
Yeah, Zach, we get a lot of hotel traffic because it's within walking distance of 5 hotels. Yeah. And so the concierge desk will, they start telling people more and more, hey, try this place, try that place. And so we get a lot of tourists in addition. But it's if you're going to have a restaurant in Sarasota, having a loyal, repetitive clientele from residents as opposed to just tourists is a huge plus.
Or even I'll add to tourists, snowbirds, because what gets you through the seasons is having those residents who, their Friday night dinner
the residents are there
essential.
all year long, then the snowbirds join, and more of the tourists are joining in.
But you hit on a couple things about your area, and I think what makes what you're doing there so special that I think, we should stop and highlight. The 3,000 apartments, I think some of us who have been here longer than both of you have remember when north of Fruitville was not really, there wasn't anything there.
I considered it Bradenton back in the day.
That is true. So you used to always make fun of me. Oh, you live north of Fruitville. Relax. Okay. No, but there was nothing. Until the city commission, green-lighted development and density in that area, we had nothing up there. And then the second point is hotels. We didn't have any hotels in downtown, even downtown-ish Sarasota. And then before you know it, you've got the Ritz, the Westin.
The modern.
The modern. You could go on and on. So that area has really turned into, I'm going to predict this right now. I think living in that area, at least for kind of younger people, is going to be preferred to living in the core downtown shortly.
I think you're right.
Because of the amenities that are over there and the fact you can walk to downtown, you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, that's exactly what my wife said today when we were walking out. So our youngest daughter is getting ready to go off to college, and our oldest is already in college. She said, this would be a great spot for the girls to come down and live when they're young professionals, walking distance. There's that cute little park right across from you
just
guys.
Opened up. It's great.
Yeah, it's a great little area. Just, again, go grab a coffee, sit out there in the sun. And
you see a lot of people walking dogs over there. It's really set up nicely for patronizing the local businesses that you can walk to. You've got that cheese shop across the street.
Right. Wolfie's next door to that.
Wolfie's.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot. A lot has popped up there since you've shown up, and I think that's not a coincidence. I think building that kind of landmark, upscale. I'm sorry, not to use the word upscale. What was the word you used?
Casual upscale.
Casual upscale. I think that's great.
Having that anchored on the corner
Bingo.
and being so visible.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to more and more spots coming in, and I think all of Boulevard of the Arts, you're going to see more development coming in, but development that's appropriate for the Rosemary as opposed to chain restaurants and things like that.
I really could foresee you guys being an anchor for that whole area, though, because it's such a prominent spot on the corner. And as soon as we walked up, my wife put herself through college being a bartender and a waiter or a waitress, excuse me, I don't know the correct terminology, but so she knows a lot about the server. She knows a lot about the restaurant industry, and right away she said, "Oh my gosh, this place is unbelievable looking." It's
this episode's gonna get shadow banned now.
Yeah, is that
we're having a job fair tomorrow from 2 to 5, getting ready for season. So if she's still in the game,
she is not, but she'd be a good trainer for you.
Discount on the food, right?
Yeah, you're right. Bam. She's the type of person sit down and be like, "That waitress is in the weeds. She needs to treat that whole area as one big table," but I digress. So if you need a good trainer, you can give her a call. She really did say that. When we walked up, she said, "This is a beautiful building. This is like almost like a flagship for the area." It really, because the whole area to me has like this old Florida kind of feel.
Yes.
Kind of the pastels and the whites and all that. You have that kind of Northern California, Colorado feel, and it's just such a big anchor. It's beautiful and attractive. So hopefully you guys are there a long, long time.
Well, thanks. We hope to be too.
Shit, we went there last Friday. I remember, that was the first time I rode one of
the scooters.
Vespues.
No, it's not a Vespa.
For lunch or for dinner?
We went for dinner.
Vespa.
So I go to bed really early. So Friday nights we do dinner. Every Friday night, my wife and I, and we live downtown. So we walk there. Do you want to drive or you want to walk? Well, we'll walk. Then on the way back, my belly was a little full. I'm like, man, I really don't want to walk home.
Grabbed a scooter.
We doubled up. It was a little bit.
That's a little dicey.
Nothing hazardous about that.
No.
But I figured you named the place Art and Central because the great thing about that name is you know where it is.
We did.
Right?
We named it for the
Central,
intersection, but then it's also just a play on the arts and promoting the local scene as well. So double duty on the name there.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right. So how long have you lived in Sarasota?
In the area, 6 years, Sarasota 2. We were in Lakewood Ranch, and then we moved into town 2 years ago.
So you've seen what I'm getting at right about now. Terminator Law and Trey Martell want to know, what are your feelings on roundabouts? Do you love them or do you hate them?
I actually, if I'm not entering the roundabout opposite somebody with Indiana plates and cataract glasses, I love them because I know they're just going to blow straight through. But I do like them as people have gotten accustomed to them. I like them.
The driving has gotten better. It's been a while since I've seen somebody going the wrong way in the roundabout.
Yeah,
it's been months.
I still hesitate. I come down Tamiami and I turn left on what I guess it's 10th Street. Or 12th Street.
10th is where the Publix and the Sunoco are.
Yeah. And I would say I've probably there's probably a 15% failure ratio to follow the rules of the roundabout as I try and cut 3/4 of the way around. So I'm always, my head's on a swivel.
Yeah.
But overall, I like them.
I'd say my failure, not my personal failure, but seeing other cars' failure ratio is a little bit higher than that. You're being very generous. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the roundabout and I'm cruising along and somebody just pulls out right in front of me, and there should be a little sign there saying yield to whomever is in the roundabout. It's
the
very simple.
expectation that people know how they work is
it's a very simple concept.
The one that makes the 10th Street one a little more interesting is the fact that you've got that boat ramp over there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of commercial boat activity and fishing charters, and that's a very well used boat ramp there. And there's some big boats that come in there.
Yeah, that don't quite fit in the lane.
That don't quite fit in the lane of the roundabout.
Trey, look at how beautiful that is. Look at
mesmerizing.
Look at the flow of traffic.
I love roundabouts.
Well, he wasn't so sure when we started the podcast, but 75 episodes of talking about it now the guy
I'm talking myself into it.
Okay.
What I didn't like is when they were constructing that roundabout. All right, first I don't know what happened every time, but every time I was coming down 41, I'd be on my phone obviously while I'm driving. And
Don't admit that, my friend.
I'd be shot out to St. Armand's.
Yeah. Well, they also had it going. They also had it going the wrong direction.
God,
if you
how did I do this
recall,
again?
right?
Yeah.
They also had it. If you were heading north towards the John Ringling Bridge, they had you going over to the extreme left, like we were driving in Britain for a little while. So that was a little confounding.
Now, I've lived in England.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah, a
tough.
4-lane roundabout going the other way when you grew up in the U.S. That's advanced.
Did you learn to drive stick shift with your left? I always think about that
Yeah,
in
I
movies.
did. I did.
Tough?
I didn't learn to do it. I mean, I learned how to do it there. I already knew how to drive stick shift, but I learned how to flip it.
But first gear is way up to the left, right? It's the same as first gear.
Can you
for
drive
us.
stick shift?
Oh, heck yeah.
Felipe can't.
Oh,
Incorrect.
Felipe.
Incorrect.
He
Just-
cannot.
I've never owned a
I've
stick
been in
shift car.
car before.
When have you had me in a stick shift car?
Hop out, pal. I got this.
I don't remember this.
I saw a sticker on a Jeep downtown, and it was a picture of a manual, like the H whatever, first to fifth, and it said millennial anti-theft device.
It's true.
So
That's hilarious.
Part of the deal was with my mom, the first car we had to own was a stick shift. Because she's like, if you're ever stuck, you're going to love this. But
100%.
And it actually played out well because I was a valet for a long time.
Yeah.
Regardless, I had an old Beamer for a stick shift, the first car, and reverse was up
Yeah.
and left up there.
A lot of the Europeans are like
you
that,
try
yeah.
to throw it in first real quick. You get
I've never heard about this car. I'm fascinated by this. I've never heard
it
about
was
this
a
car.
piece of
Trey.
shit. Don't get confused. It had a cool, key tag. BMW. And then you got out to the parking lot.
It was one of the ones that was shaped like Mr. Incredible's car.
Yeah, it was like a box.
Yeah. Yeah.
The window didn't roll down.
As much as we'd like to talk about Trey's childhood and his stick shift prowess, and I am
Pretty soon we'll
impressed.
get to high school football.
I'm impressed that you drove the left-handed stick.
That is cool.
mesmerizes me when people do that, especially Americans. So that's kudos to you there. My soccer coach used to do it, but he, played in Italy.
Yeah.
So he was used to it. But
Felipe played soccer in 6th grade.
yeah, 6th grade. Those are the glory days. Obviously when we ask about roundabouts, it's a fun and proxy way of us asking about growth and change in Sarasota. And as somebody who's been here for 2 years, and obviously you're not just taking your retirement money and pushing it in on Sarasota, you've also moved your son, and this is a whole family affair. Can you talk about, what you saw when you came here that made you guys decide this is it, and how you've seen some of the changes that have been discussed playing out?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of development. People, some of that development you love, and some of it you look at and you go, how did that happen? Or I'm not sure I like that. So I don't particularly like the 0 lot line build where, the buildings come right out
Agreed.
to the, the
Agree with you.
street. So I'd love to see some sidewalks always with that. But it's a popular place. I mean, we lived in Connecticut. We lived all over the world. And when we moved here, our first year here, we made more friends than I think we had collected in 18 years in Connecticut. People are just friendly here, for whatever reason. You got the combination of the Midwest and the Northeast and the people who grew up here, and people are just a little more relaxed. They're a little more chill. They're a little more willing to have a conversation, and people aren't averse to the idea of making new friends, even if you're older. Like me in your 60s. That's kind of unusual. People would say that's more associated with the South, but you can go over to the East Coast. You don't get that vibe. You don't start talking to somebody in line in the grocery store over there, and you don't talk to the people you're sitting next to at a table at the restaurant there. And so it's just a little special here. I think even if you go down to Naples, Sarasota feels different.
Well, I think it's also got to do with the fact that there's so many transplants here, and I think Trey Martell is really the only human that's from Sarasota. Isn't that correct? You were like the first one ever here, right?
Anointed,
yeah. Yes. No, we felt the same thing. We started coming down here to Siesta Key with our kids back in 2011, and of course we're just stewing about how we could get down here when we finally moved here in 22. So many people in our neighborhood had just moved here as well, and I think that drives a lot of it. People move here and want to make friends, so you've got this kind of melting pot of other people going, well, this is our home now, let's get neighborly. So, but it's, I agree with you 100%.
And we all remember what it's like to be new here too. So
I think some of it too is a lot of the culture in the communities. Like I have a lot of friends from Connecticut. I spent a lot of time there. I think the culture in a lot of places that we're from revolves a lot around work. Here, there's kind of a different dynamic because you have so many people that are retired or
part-time
or independent business owners or snowbirds, or there's lots of just different moving parts, so we get we get kind of a different vibe. You know,
Yeah, I agree with that.
the weather helps too.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice to be social and go to the beach and go to a nice restaurant and have a drink when you're not freezing your rear end off.
Well, there's also that undertone of this is a vacation destination. So we're, even though I'm working full time, I still feel like I'm kind of here on
I
vacation.
still get to go to the beach on the
Yeah,
weekend,
no,
yeah.
absolutely.
Oh yeah, Friday at 5 o'clock, everybody's
Yeah.
on vacation, right?
No, absolutely.
Or, you know, depending on your industry.
All right, let's bring it back to business.
Enough of this idle chat.
How do you handle unpleasant, angry customers? What's your protocol?
Well, you know, you do have to subscribe to the theory the customer is never wrong. So, look, nothing's perfect, so occasionally we screw up. You know, you have a party and 3 of the meals come out and the 4th one somehow or another vanished into the ether, you know, so you go overboard and you comp the whole table. And you can turn almost any situation around. Somebody who is intent upon being unpleasant, and it does happen, and you know, you don't know what happened earlier in their day or what caused them to be like that. You just apologize and you do the best you can, whether you think you did anything wrong or not. I mean, it's, you know, the public can't be wrong. In a restaurant, you can't cop an attitude about anybody. And so we do our best. You know, occasionally you'll have somebody that you know is just trying to needle something out of you, you know, and you just deal with it. But it's the exception. It really is the exception. You know, it's very rare that you have somebody who truly is just out to, you know, cause you grief.
I would think also at a place like yours, I think a lot of the jerks probably self-select themselves out and go to other types of establishments. You know, because
we're not bargain fair. You know,
yeah, it's also but it's not even just the price. It's also the reason that you go to a place like that.
Shitty people don't deserve to be in such a wonderful atmosphere.
You know what I mean? You kind of have
let me read this quote to you. A man wishing to be unhappy finds many ways to prove his course.
Very nice.
Well
Don't
said.
let those people bring you down.
Yeah.
Well
I love
said.
how Felipe, you just try to be just, you know, come at it from a nice direction. And Trey just revs the engine, throws it and drives and pins
When
it
he
down and
starts
goes
getting
right
lost
for
in
it.
his word salad, I just gotta
Word
get to
salad.
the point.
Word salad. When did that term become popular? Let's not
I heard it
salad.
once, and I
Let's
just
not even go
latched
there.
onto it. All right, cool. Closing remarks. I know you got to get out of here.
Hey, I invite everybody to come to Arts and Central and come and see for yourself what we're talking about. And I hope you have a great time. I hope you'll be relaxed, well fed, and leave with a positive impression. We'll do our best.
And
our menus.
There you go.
But we always have one last question on the podcast.
okay.
I can't leave this out. You know, I'll hear about it. So you've just been on Sarasota Speax. You see what we do here. We appreciate having you. Hope you enjoyed it as well. Who do you know who Sarasota needs to know that we may not know? Who can we invite on Sarasota Speax that you can recommend?
You know, I'll throw out a name that you probably have already had.
Hey, you never know.
But Megan Howell with Second Heart Homes. Megan is doing some fantastic work.
I know her. I know her. She's got very colorful hair.
Very colorful
Yeah,
hair.
yeah,
She
yeah,
does fantastic work trying to help people who are trying to straighten out their life. They do a wonderful job. So I'd recommend Megan.
That's a fantastic recommendation. We love our nonprofits, and I do know about the work she does, but more people need to know about it. So thanks for that recommendation.
Sure.
Dan, thanks for being here.
Great episode.
thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks for